Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm your host, Buckning, and today we're going to talk about starting investing and the cost of delaying investing, even by a single year, even by a couple years, or just waiting. You know, you're fresh 18 or you're 40 or whatever age you might be today, but the cost of not actually getting yourself into the market with dollars, the benefits, the pros, the cons, I guess, and somewhat of a cost. I'm going to leave it to you guys who are watching the videos. Maybe you have started investing, or maybe you haven't, and you're thinking about it, or you have somebody that you know that probably should start investing, and maybe you want to share this with them, because it does actually cost you quite a bit of money, and it might be a shocker. And so if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is where we put $100 a week into a tax-free savings account to build a dividend portfolio right in front of your eyes. And if you're not new, welcome back. And so when it comes to investing, a lot of people are actually not even scared to invest. It's the fact that they might hear stuff here and there from friends, from family, wherever it may be, and it's information that is not 100% accurate, and sometimes the information I provide could be skewed in a lot of ways or not 100% accurate. And so let's talk about that. When people want to retire, I think the new number that Canadians believe that they need is $1.7 million. Now that is a very, I think that's an arbitrary number for the most case, is because the majority of Canadians are not going to be able to do $1.7 million, because they might not even make that much in their whole lifetime. I think the average income in Canada is like 40 or 50, between 40 and $50,000 a year. And if you span that out, you know, $50,000 over 10 years is only $500,000. Over another 10 years is $1 million. Oh, so maybe it's close. So 30 years, but typically the age of, or time horizon, is about 47 years of investing, or working years. So you do get there, but there are expenses, of course, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to break down the numbers for you. I'm going to let you figure out for yourself what number it is that you need for retirement, and what you need to do in order to get to whatever number it is. And it's not simple math as people may think. And there's tons of calculators out there that you can use to figure out how much per month that you need to invest at what rate to get to a certain number that you can retire comfortably with, or, you know, put all that money in and achieve certain things. Like, I know FIRE is still a thing, retiring early, maybe shaving off a couple extra years off of retirement. And so let's start by figuring out why you should invest. Well, there's this thing that's called inflation. I'm sure everybody is now educated on inflation, because it's absolutely just going on a rampant, but not currently. You know, the Bank of Canada is pausing rate increases. Everything seems to be good. Inflation is coming down, and so let's assume the inflation rate of about 3%, and that's a bit aggressive compared to what it nationally is. It's about, I think it's like 1.82% in that area, but let's assume 3% for the inflation rate. That means every single year you lose about 3% of your purchasing power, the buying power. That's why there's increases in prices. That's inflation, but you lose buying power with every dollar. And so the thing is, when you save money, you will find it difficult to sometimes, not in this at this time, but in other times, old times, you would find it difficult to find savings accounts that would pay enough interest to keep up with inflation. And keeping up with inflation is not good enough when it comes to your retirement years. I get that there's OAS, Old Age Security, and CPP, Canadian Pension Plan, out there, but I'm sure that you know somebody that is receiving those benefits and they cannot even afford to live. And I don't know what the situation is for everybody. Everybody's situation is different when it comes to finances. But if that alone should steer you in the direction of investing, and finding out what you need to invest in, because it can be very easy and simple. It's not as complicated as people may think. Some myths are, oh, I don't want to invest in the stock market, or I don't know enough about the stock market, or I'm going to lose money in the stock market. Yes, if you are gambling in the stock market and not investing in the stock market, there are many, many tools that you can use that will not guarantee you a return, but are a safer route than the point of gambling in the stock market. And so what are those things? There are index funds, there's ETFs, which are very popular. And the thing is, you'll start getting educated on these things as you go through the process. So what's it going to cost you to start investing? Pretty much it's almost going to cost you nothing. Whatever your situation is, even putting in $25 a month or every 2 weeks, or even $100 a month, as much as you can spare to put towards retirement or put towards investments, assuming, industry standard is about 7%, stock market standard. And there are funds that do a bit more than that if you're taking a very aggressive approach based on your personal preference, okay? And so and that's the first point, is just to try and beat inflation, assuming a 3% rate. The second thing is you're missing out on the compounding of interest on interest. You are earning money on top of the money you earned, possibly in investing, okay? And so let's say you start at 24 or 25, you want to retire at 65, that gives you about a 40-year time period to start investing. Now, I'm going to leave this to you to go figure out. You can find a compound interest calculator, put in your age, assume a 7% return, and put in how much you want to put in. Now, over the 40-year period, your money will grow from interest to interest at the tail end. You'll see, they typically will provide a graph. You'll see a graph that goes very, very low and then exponentially grows in a shorter period of time compared to the front end of that graph. And I just want you to take a look at when you shave off a year. So let's say you started at 25, change that number to 26 and see how much you have by the time you're 65. I'm gonna guess that it's close to $70,000 to $120,000 in money that you missed out on, which is also known as opportunity cost. The cost of not starting now and the cost of starting later. And I'm not downplaying the fact that if you are older and watching this video, that you don't have anything saved or you don't have anything invested, you can still start to mitigate the amount of stress that you might have, or the amount of money that you'll have in your actual retirement years. If you're young, don't push off this message in a way that you can always start later. Look at the cost of investing later. So 25, 26, it's going to be from anywhere from $70,000 to $120,000 that you are going to be missing if you started just a year earlier. Now, when you think about that, 70 to 120K, think about the salary that you're making now in that age. And the reason I'm using 25 is because you'll be done school at that time, you're getting into your career, and you got to start paying off debts, you're looking at buying a home, but you also got to look at investing as well, because you don't want those hardworking years to go to waste that a lot of people might do. The majority of Canadians actually don't invest, or they invest a little bit and they don't see the return tomorrow, and they just stop. They just don't want to do any more of it. But it's a patience game. It's a long-term game. Take a look at that, see what you're making now, and see how much you lose from not investing for just 1 year. And I think that should be even the catalyst to move you forward to actually start now. And so we're going back to basics. A lot of this stuff is information that is well known. And if I'm repeating myself, it's always a good refresher. For me, it's always a good reminder that, it's never too late. It brings me back to my basics, the fundamentals of actual investing, and not doing these YOLO investings where I'm one step away from gambling, okay, in the stock market specifically. And so that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Go find a calculator online, a compound interest calculator, and see what could happen. And if you are starting now, it's okay to step into your financial institute or your bank and go talk to somebody and figure that out, because it's not a bad thing to have a financial advisor. Some people actually prefer it, and I hear a lot of times in the market that you shouldn't get a financial advisor, this and that. But it's a good starting point to learn. And once you learn and you get through that process of learning, you can go on and move on to yourself and do it yourself in a way where it's educated and not not a guessing game. And so hopefully you guys found some value in this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.